Has the future finally arrived? We've got hoverboards, holograms, and electric cars you plug into the wall like a cell phone. But who came up with the idea for electric cars? And how does the technology really work? Before we celebrate the marvels of modern innovation, let's take a journey back in time to see how it all began. Electric cars might seem like a modern invention, but they actually go way back. Believe it or not, electric motors were developed around the same time as gas engines. Almost 200 years ago, in 1828, a Hungarian engineer named Anyos Jedlik made the first electric motor and used it to power a small car model. And he wasn't the only one doing this. In 1834, an American blacksmith named Thomas Davenport built a similar device that ran on an electric track, much like early streetcars. In the Netherlands, a university professor named Brandis Strading also created a small electric car powered by non-rechargeable batteries. However, these use once and toss batteries weren't practical because they needed too many to run the car over long distances at slow speeds. The idea was groundbreaking, but the technology still had a long way to go. The game for electric cars really changed in 1859 when French physicist Gaston Plante invented the lead-acid battery. This new battery made electric engines much more practical. Many countries started making electric three-wheeled cars, but the big breakthrough came in the US. In 1891, the first electric vehicle was built there, a 6-passenger wagon that could go up to 14 miles per hour. That was a big deal back then. People were excited, and the electric car market really took off. By the late 1890s, electric taxis were driving all over London. Electric cars had many benefits over steam-powered and gas engines. They didn't shake, they didn't smell bad, and they were easy to start. By the early 1900s, almost 1/3 of the cars in the US were electric. But this didn't last long. By the late 1920s, as the US infrastructure improved and cars needed to go further, fossil fuel cars became more popular because they were more efficient. Electric cars could only go 15 to 20 miles per hour, about as fast as you can ride a bike. And they could only travel 30 to 40 miles before needing a recharge. This meant that they needed to be recharged every few hours, making them less convenient. Things then took a turn for the worse for electric cars as infrastructure improved. Gasoline cars started using electric starters and mufflers, making them even more convenient and quieter. The final blow came in 1910, when Henry Ford began mass-producing gas-powered cars, making them incredibly cheap. In contrast, electric cars were much more expensive. Companies saw no future for electric cars and stopped making them. Fast forward to the 21st century, with advancements in technology and growing environmental concerns, plus the fear of running out of fuel, automotive companies decided to give electric cars another chance. The main difference between electric cars and gas-powered cars is that electric cars can use renewable energy sources to generate electricity. The science behind electric cars is quite simple. They rely on alternating current, or AC, a concept developed by Nikola Tesla over a century ago. But before diving into that, let's understand the difference between direct current, DC, and alternating current, AC. An electric current is the movement of an electric charge that carries electrons. In a direct current, the electrons flow in one direction only, like from a battery to whatever it's powering. This is what powers most things that run on DC. Electrons in an alternating current change direction periodically and consistently. This type of current powers most household items, from your microwave to your game console. If you were to graph the two types of currents, direct current would be a flat line, while alternating current would show regular waves going up and down. To simplify, DC is like water running out of a bucket with a hole in the bottom, whereas AC is like watching water swish back and forth inside a washing machine. Alright, now we can get back to electric cars. Most electric cars convert the direct current from their batteries into an alternating current. Unlike gas-powered cars, which have an internal combustion engine, electric cars use their space differently. Instead of having a large battery under the hood, electric cars have about 7,000 lithium-ion batteries under the floor. This battery pack has a longer lifespan and higher power density, making it ideal for powering a vehicle. However, one of the vulnerabilities of these batteries is overheating. To prevent this, electric cars have coolant running between the batteries to keep them cool. At the back of the car, there's a lot of important stuff. You'll find the inverter there, which changes DC into AC to power the engine. But it needs the induction motor to work. The induction motor is also in the back, and it uses the AC from the inverter to create a magnetic field that makes the motor spin. Electric cars don't have a gearbox or lever, and they're all automatic. They use a single-speed transmission to send power from the induction motor to the wheels. This is how the electric motor changes electrical energy into mechanical energy, making the wheels turn and getting you moving. But here's where it gets even more interesting. When you accelerate, the car uses more energy. But when you brake, the energy is converted back into electricity through the induction motor. This electricity is then sent back to the battery pack and stored for later use. Talk about efficient. Normally, an electric car gets charged by plugging into an outlet or a charging station. There are a few main levels of charging. The first level is basic home charging, using a 120-volt outlet and adding 2 to 5 miles of range per hour. The second level uses electric vehicle supply equipment with a higher voltage, 220 to 240 volts, adding 10 to 25 miles per hour of range. The third and most efficient is the direct current charging station, which uses direct current to add up to 80% of the car's battery charge in less than half an hour. The cost of charging an electric car is also very low. You could even call it dirt cheap. It'll cost you less than $5 to fully charge your vehicle at home. And you can get up to 150 miles on one charge. Well, that's true depending on the size of the battery pack that is to be recharged. Larger electric cars with larger batteries can take up to $15 to fully charge, but can travel up to 300 miles. Today, electric cars are cheaper to operate and maintain than fuel-powered cars. But it is a known fact that the car itself costs much more. However, a recent study shows that the average operating cost of an electric car is $485 per year, while a conventional fossil fuel car is $1,117. Thus, that higher initial price should be compensated by the lower price in the future. But there is yet another issue. The battery pack is one of the most costly parts of the electric car. It will cost you an arm and a leg to replace if it breaks down. Replacement costs range from $5,000 to $15,000. Still, most electric car manufacturers provide the battery with a warranty of at least 8 years or 100,000 miles, if that helps you make a purchase. The sole bright spot is that in an effort to reduce pollution and fuel emissions, there is a significant movement towards electrically driven automobiles. According to the director of Europe's automotive research, by 2025, every automobile on the continent will be either entirely electric or at least half electric. Additionally, a lot of nations have established goals to cut back on gasoline emissions in the upcoming years. Those large gas-guzzling cars might become obsolete sooner rather than later when everyone switches to electric vehicles. So what about you? Are you interested in getting an electric car? If so, what sorts of brands are you looking at? Just make sure that whichever one it is, it's got that 8-year warranty. And if you're on the fence, think back to this video next time you pop $120 into your gas tank. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe.